My name is Trevor Kluke, and I'm the Senior Marketing Associate at Jonas Club Software, and I'm responsible for marketing campaigns for various brands here at Jonas. And joining me today is Robert Lamanna. Rob, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks, Trevor. I am Product Manager for our Jonas Activity Management Suite of products, or JAM as it's more colloquially known, and as well as Clubhouse Online, our web solution. So I'll be going through the CRM tool as the online integration a little bit later today in the presentation.
Thank you. So today's presentation is going to run about 45 minutes, and we're going to save some time at the end for questions. If you do have questions during the presentation, please submit those through the Q&A box in WebEx, not the chat. And we'll be monitoring that throughout so we can try to address those at the end. And if we don't get to your question, we will try to follow up with you afterwards. So getting started here, today we hope that you will get the following out of this presentation. We're hoping that you can see integration between your tools in your lifecycle marketing will benefit your club, as well as we're going to show how automation is effective and saves you time. We're going to show that the strategies that's used by most businesses to market their products is the same that can be applied to your club. And lastly, the tools that we're going to show are the same tools that we use at Jonas Club Software in the marketing department. So let's first take a look at the member lifecycle. You may have seen this graphic before. It's often referred to as the buyer's journey. And if we take a look at it from a membership marketing perspective, we would have on the left-hand side in the awareness phase your prospective member. This is somebody who maybe moved to your area, they heard about your club, maybe through a referral or an online ad. And on the far right, we have your core member. This would be somebody who is a really, really strong advocate for the club. They might be sharing their experience with their friends or even posting it on social media, which actually is a free way to provide awareness, kind of closing the loop on the cycle. Now, in today's session, we're actually going to focus on the middle three phases: consideration, purchase, and retention, and 4 tools that are effective to use in these 3 phases. Those include starting with effective online forms on your club website. And I'll also show 2 mistakes that I often saw when I was conducting website audits with clubs. We'll then move on to customer relationship management, which Rob is going to walk us through. We'll also take a look at email marketing software, both for prospects and members. And we'll take a look at feedback and survey software, which you can use in the retention phase. All right, so getting started with effective online forms. On the far left side here, we have some examples of awareness tools, online ads, maybe a referral program that you're running at the club, and these are all used to drive traffic, preferably to a page on your website. So this page will be specific to the campaign that you're running. It could be for a trial membership, or maybe you're trying to boost banquet and event at the club. And I'm going to show you here an example that I created for a trial membership. So on our demo site, Mystic River Club, I created a 2019 spring trial membership. And on this page, you'll see that I've kept the content fairly concise. I've also included a video, which is a really great way to showcase the personality of your club. I've also included a couple of testimonials and a photograph here of some new members, just so that people can kind of imagine themselves in the picture. It's a great way to show who the member is at your club. And then lastly, I have this form. And the important thing about this form is that it is integrated to CRM. I've kept it quite short, and I've used a specific call to action where the person is going to request more membership info. So this type of page with this specific form makes your life easier because, as I mentioned, it's integrated into your CRM, which we'll see in a moment when Rob gets to that. So it allows you to capture that information, which will also get sent to your inbox but you don't have to go in there and, sift through everything trying to find that contact information and add it to somewhere like an address book. The other great thing is a form allows you to send out an automated response. So once that user has submitted their information, you can send them an email automatically that could include a link to more information about the membership or banquets at your club. Two things to keep in mind. When you're creating a membership page or a banquet page, make it specific to why that person should either join your club or host their event at your club. Too often I see that or generic information that could apply to any club, but you should really try to zone in on, what makes your club special and include that in your content. Secondly, as I mentioned, keep your form short. Remove any unnecessary fields. People do not want to submit a lot of information online. So the more fields you add, the less likely they are going to send you their contact information, which is your ultimate goal. You can always ask them afterwards once you've started that communication for more details. So now, moving on to, we've captured their information, and we're going to move on to CRM. Customer relationship management is something that you've probably heard of in the last 3 to 5 years. Some of you might not be exactly sure what it is, but it's basically a software tool that is replacing a bunch of tools that don't really do the job well. So for example, you might have been tracking prospect contact information in an Excel document, or somebody else at the club might have been tracking things in a Word doc on their device, or you might be using an Outlook address book. Well, CRM is going to replace all those so you have one centralized place where you can store and manage your contact details, correspondence with prospects or members, and you're going to create a good history of that correspondence. It really benefits you because being a centralized place where customer data is organized, different people at the club can actually get in there and they can edit it, they can review it, depending on the permissions that you grant them. Secondly, it allows you to create and assign activities to different people at the club. So Rob's going to show us how that works in a minute, but if you need some follow-up or you want to send an email or book an appointment, you can actually assign those tasks through CRM. And lastly, it allows you to do some great reporting on the current state of your prospects. So you can figure out what the likelihood of close is and at what stages the different prospects are, so you can forecast potential memberships coming up for the new season. From a member perspective, CRM is also effective as a communication tracking tool. So if a club member maybe has a complaint and they've made that to the food and beverage director, that food and beverage director can put that into CRM. It can be reviewed by other people at the club, such as the GM. If there's any need to follow up with that member, that can be assigned to someone. And over time, this allows you to go back and reference these conversations so that you have an accurate record of what took place. Also, it's a great tool to use when you're trying to upsell maybe social members to a higher membership category, such as full membership. Now, some of you that have used a CRM or have heard of a CRM have maybe heard of other companies such as Salesforce or HubSpot, and you're probably wondering, well, what's the difference between a product offered by them and our Jonas Club software CRM? The main difference is the integration. So with our CRM, you're already integrated into club management, email marketing, and your online web forms, which is going to keep things simple and will allow you to use one source as opposed to getting information from different sources. So now I'm going to ask Rob to take us into the actual CRM. And maybe, Rob, we could start by looking at prospects, and if we captured a prospect through an online form, where that might show up.
Absolutely, Trevor. So the online form is going to feed into our CRM module. The CRM module lives within the Jonas Activity Management suite of applications. So if any of you are currently using our spa, dining, court, class, event, or lessons management products, you will have encountered this application before. For some of you that are only using our Jonas Club Management software, you've probably never seen the JAN suite of applications before. Nonetheless, When a prospect does submit a form online, they're going to be created as a new prospect in our system. So you can see here we're looking at Trevor Kluk is a prospect that filled out a form online. We're going to capture all the information. So within that form you saw Trevor present before, it has a few mandatory fields, first name, last name, email address. We also have a bunch of default fields we put in there like address and telephone number. It's up to you how much information you want to collect. Again, to Trevor's point, people don't want to submit that much information over the internet, so you want to pull back. You can always add more data later. The fields are there for you, and you can collect the information. You just don't necessarily need to capture it up front. In addition to creating a prospect record within CRM, it will also create an activity in the CRM tab here that will be assigned to a particular person. So I can create new activities if I want. You can have any list of them. By default, we're going to create a member callback whenever someone submits a form online, and that task can be assigned to any user in your system. So any user you've already created will be available here to assign it to. So we'll just assign it to me, and we can create that callback task to say we want to have that callback take place by Saturday the 19th at, let's say, 9 a.m., and then we can save that activity and put a subject on it, call Trevor Kluk. And then we can put even more details on it to say that we want to make him aware of membership options, something simple like that. And this information will be tracked against the prospect, Trevor Kluk. We can also add documents to it, so if we have some documentation he sent in, we have the ability to capture those documents against this activity. So from an activity standpoint, you have the ability to create activities like meetings or callbacks or things of that ilk, but you also have the ability to add documents to it, add notes to it. You'll see there's a notes tab here. It'll track activity history, so any activities you've had in the past with Trevor will be tracked here once they're completed. But more importantly than anything, you also have the ability to track opportunities. And opportunities in and of themselves are sales opportunities, and you want to progress that opportunity throughout the various stages that you create, eventually to completion when they become a member. The opportunities are nice that when you see when I create a new one here, it is like a mini CRM in and of itself. Against this opportunity, you can have specific activities, specific notes, specific documents. It's almost like a small version of what I've been showing you on a particular prospect for a given opportunity. And with that opportunity, you can set a value, and you can set a stage, and you can also set a probability of close. All of that can be reported on later. Trevor?
And would this work, Rob, for both if you're using it for memberships or banquets and events?
Absolutely. So the opportunities, and all of CRM is not limited exclusively to prospects. It can apply to members. It can apply to guests. You can see here that in the client type, it's defaulting to Trevor Kluk because that's where I created it from. But I can change that to any member or guest, and I can look them up in my system. So just look up screen open on my other monitor. But I can go in and say, actually, this is an opportunity that needs to be assigned to Roger Smith. And then I can assign that. So that can apply to a banquet, and you would have a different type of opportunity. So you can see here I only have one type. The system allows you to create any number of opportunity types. So, you know, banquet sale, banquet function you could have in there, catering function, whatever it is you're selling beyond just a membership upsell or a new member can be tracked in this opportunity and can be reported on down the road to understand sort of what your sales funnel is and, you know, where they are at the various stages of that funnel.
So one of the new things that we recently added is the Outlook integration functionality. Would that be a good thing to show?
Absolutely. So the Outlook integration works both ways. So not only does it allow you to send things from Outlook into CRM, but it also allows you to create things in CRM that will send to Outlook. For example, if we were in CRM and on Trevor Kluk, let's just focus on him, and we're going to create a new activity, and we're going to make that a I think it's prospect presentation is the type that I send over, so we'll just call it Club Tour, and we're going to schedule that for, let's say, this Saturday at 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. It's a 2-hour appointment. Show Mr. Kluk what we have to offer at the club, and that meeting that I'm creating here will actually flow over to my Outlook screen as an appointment in my calendar on Sunday. Now that sync takes about 5 minutes, so it's not something that's going to happen instantaneously, but within about 5 cycles every 5 minutes, so within 5 minutes you're going to see that appointment in your calendar. So we'll get back to that in a moment. You also have the ability to send over tasks, and we can capture that. But what's really nice is when you open emails from people that are existing in your CRM, you're going to see the ability to send that email over or send it over as a note. You can see we have the various buttons here. So I'm looking at an email from Johan Coe. He's very interested in the 2019 Executive Golf membership, and I can now add this email as a document to Johan Coe within CRM. And when I go back to the CRM module and I look at Johan Coe and I look in the Documents tab, and again, it takes a minute to sync over, that email will show up as a document, and any attachments to that email would also be captured in here. So it's not like it's creating a net new document, it's actually creating a reference to that email. So when I double-click on that document record that's in here, it'll actually launch that same email message that I have in my inbox. And similarly, if I were to attach any files to it, those would be available to me as well. So if we bounce back to Outlook and we look at my calendar for Saturday, okay, the appointment has not come over just yet. But you can see how now I can collect information from various members as they send emails, or prospects for that matter, as they send emails to me, I can capture their information and attach it to documents or notes within the CRM directly without having to physically, copy and paste it. I can just click on a button and it'll send it over. And like I said, it recognizes based on the emails in the email message. So Roger Smith has my email, that's why he keeps showing up, and the other email on there is Johan Coe, so it matches the two together.
Okay, cool. So I also mentioned that you can do some reporting based on the type of stages your prospects are in. Can we just take a look at that as well?
Absolutely. So there's an opportunity report in here. There's also an activity report you can run, but you can set up this opportunity report to be grouped by the person to whom it's assigned, so effectively the salesperson. You can do a detailed or summary version of that report. You have the ability to say when the start and end times are going to be considered and what status they're on. If you want to look at all, you can do that. And then you can say, okay, what activity types does this apply to? So I only have the one new member opportunity, and which stages do I want it to apply to? Well, I only want to show the ones that are in qualification stage. So you can filter it down to those. Which users do you want to see it apply to? So one user right now that has any opportunities being me. If there were more, I can select only specific salespeople that I wanted to see their opportunities. And then, of course, you have client selection. So you can do that by status, by membership type, or even by specific member to restrict what is made available there. So to this juncture, we've built some email integration for it that'll now send the prospects up to email marketing. So if you're using Clubhouse Online email marketing, your prospects will now, you'll have the ability to send them up to email marketing so you can market to them via email. The next phase of development on the opportunity report will allow you to generate a list based off that. So if anybody's done any reporting in Jonas and has exported that list to Clubhouse Online email marketing, you'll be familiar with that functionality. It'll allow you to send the list of the people that come up on this report. You can send that up to Clubhouse Online email marketing and then target those people with a specific email campaign.
All right, so using CRM to capture prospects and member information then allows us to take that, put it up into our email marketing tool, and because we have created a prospect status, we can develop a list based off those prospects. And most clubs are now using email marketing for their members, but if they wanted to use it for prospects, they could start marketing those memberships through a automated workflow campaign. And for those who don't know what a workflow campaign is, it's basically a series of emails that get sent out in an automated way that you've set up in advance and allows you to market your product or services to your customers. So I've created an example here, a very simple one, and it's based on my 2019 trial membership page. So if I'm trying to promote the trial membership to prospects that I've captured, maybe over the winter or early in the spring, I'm going to create a list and send them a 3-email campaign. And this campaign will start with a trigger on February 15th. So on February 15th, everyone on my prospect list will receive my first email announcing the 2019 trial membership. I'm going to allow for 2 weeks to pass for the person to either open the email, click the email, or even contact me. And then I'm going to send them another marketing email, maybe including some testimonials or a video. And for that, I'm going to let them take a month. And during that month, they might contact me or they might ask to find out more information. And then on April 1st, I'm going to send them a final email. And it's basically going to say that trial memberships are limited and they're filling up fast, so if you'd like to take advantage of this opportunity, please contact me as soon as possible. After that, they will exit the workflow. So this is a basic and easy workflow to set up. If you want to, there are more complex things that you can do. Some of you might be wondering, well, what if I want to remove someone from this workflow? You can always remove them manually. Also, if we look at a more complex setup, I don't have time to go into the specific emails in this, but you'll see that it allows for yes-no situations. So if the person has opened the email, they're going to go into a different track. If they haven't opened the email I've sent, they'll go into a different track. They'll be sent a different email. And maybe if they don't open 2 emails in a row, I'm going to actually exit them out of this workflow. So start small, start basic, and once you get more comfortable with workflows, you can move on to implementing something a little bit more complex like this. Now, from a member's perspective, a lot of clubs are using email marketing for club announcements, notifications, weekly newsletters, and that's great. But if you think beyond those things, you can actually set up some automation, some emails that get triggered to changes in the member data file. And those could include something like an onboarding email. So when your prospect gets converted to a member, that can automatically trigger an email to go out to that new member saying, hey, welcome to the club. You could have one sent from the GM, you could have one sent from maybe the food and beverage chef, or maybe the head golf professional. We actually do this at Jonas. Some of you might have received this in the past. Whenever we add a new contact to our database, they get sent an email with all of the help resources that we offer. Some other ideas that you could use for automated trigger emails: birthdays, anniversaries, also minimum spend reminders if somebody has money left on their account that they need to spend by a certain date, balance owed emails. These can all be set up and automated to send out to your members. So you've got your members receiving these emails, and you want to move into retention. We would often see clubs using member surveys to gauge the satisfaction level of their membership. And a lot of the tools that are out there are missing kind of 2 important ingredients, one being immediacy. So you want to capture a member feedback as close to the event or the service experience as you can. And oftentimes, if they have to wait 6 months, they might have forgotten about the experience, or if they have had a poor experience, you don't want them to be sitting on that for 9 months until the next annual survey comes out. And second, these tools that are out there often don't provide an easy way to follow up on the survey feedback. And we believe that what you actually do with the feedback is what matters the most. And that's why we developed a tool specifically for member surveys for clubs, and that is called Member Insight. And it allows you to create and send automated email surveys. These surveys get triggered by member interactions at the club. Examples could be playing a round of golf, maybe having a dining experience, or maybe getting a spa treatment. And it allows you to collect member feedback. And a really great thing about it is it does automated assigned tasks. So if somebody sends in some negative feedback, that can create a task for someone at the club to follow up with them. And it also allows you to benchmark your club, meaning that your score is calculated and it can change over time to see if you're improving or not. So let's just take a quick example of a survey that was sent out via Member Insight. Some of you might have seen this before. This is the Jonas Customer Satisfaction Survey, and it came into my email here. It's quite a simple question. How likely are you to recommend Jonas Club software to someone you know? And the answer is a 0 to 10 scale. I'm going to choose 10 because I love working at Jonas. And once I've clicked on 10, it's going to open a browser window where I can provide a bit more feedback in my own words as to why I scored a 10. Once that's been submitted, staff at the club are able to come into the Member Insight dashboard and review the feedback. You'll see here that they can assign it. This one is not yet assigned, but they could assign this feedback to maybe specifically the golf professional or the food and beverage director. It also allows you to create some follow-up, such as calls or a reminder to send an email to this person to find out more information. And once you start to gather feedback, you're actually going to generate a score. And this score can be compared to other clubs. It can be compared between different departments, and that can be sorted by, different types of club, whether it's the size of their membership or the amount of their membership fees. And this is great because it allows you to see if over time you're improving and your member satisfaction is actually improving. The great thing about Member Insight is that once it's set up, it runs automatically. It's automated, and it allows you to gather feedback and follow up on that feedback. So looking at the 3 middle phases of the member life cycle, showed you guys a few tools today, including effective online forms, which are now integrated to your CRM to help you capture prospect data and contact information. We took a look at CRM and how it can be effective for tracking communications with prospects as well as members. We took a look at Clubhouse Online email marketing and how you can use that for sending your marketing message to your prospects after you've captured them, as well as some way to automate some of those emails to members that you might not be doing already. And lastly, Member Insight, which is a great survey tool to get a gauge of your member satisfaction. It's automated and allows you to follow up on that member feedback. So we've been receiving some questions, I believe, throughout the webinar. Now we'd like to take some of those. If we don't get to your question right now, you can always contact Rob or I. Here is our contact information, and we'll leave this screen up so that you can write that down. But let's get the first question.
All right, guys. So the first question we had came in from Nina, and it's actually a 2-part question. So the first part of her question is there a limit to the number of prospects that you can have in the CRM? And the second part of her question, and I think we kind of did this when we were going through email marketing, was way to do any type of a mail merge from those prospects within your CRM. So I know we already how the CRM integrates with Clubhouse Online email marketing, but maybe you could elaborate on how that works back and forth just a little bit and touch on her first part of the question about the maximum number of prospects.
There is no limit to prospects you can store in the system. You can store as many as you want. You want to keep it as manageable as possible from your perspective. Retiring them as they become no longer prospects, or you can transition them to members as well if they should opt for. As far as email marketing integration is concerned, those prospects will be sent up as they're added. So typically it'll be probably a day removed. The next morning we'll send up all the prospects that were added or modified within that time. So updates or creates will be sent up the next day. As far as doing a mail merge, you could probably run a report on all members of type prospects, export that out, and then you can mail merge it wherever you want. Obviously, it's not going to be as effective as having real integration that's constantly updating the members in the email marketing or the prospects in the email marketing. However, if you have another email marketing, I know there's a question about whether or not we integrate it to anything else like Constant Contact and MailChimp, and the truth of the matter is we don't do full integration. Everything would have to be manually updated through some kind of Excel export or file export.
Okay, great answer, guys. We've got a bunch more questions that are actually pouring in right now, so I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get to all of them, but let me throw a couple out here. So I've got a question here from Pat saying, if we're only using Jonas Club Management, how do we get access to JAM, and how can our current database be transferred over? Rob, do you want to address that question?
Sorry, can you just repeat that? I was trying to open up the question panel on my computer.
So a question from Pat. If they're only using Jonas Club Management right now, the Jonas Club Management software system, how do they get access to Jonas Activity Management, and does their information get seamlessly transferred over?
In order to get access to it, it would be contact your sales representative, whomever it is, or we can take your information down and have your rep contact you. It's an additional module you would purchase. Specifically, you can purchase any of the modules within it. You don't have to buy the whole suite, so you could just buy CRM. Once that is installed, we would seamlessly transfer the information on members and guests into CRM from management solution, and then prospects you would be adding on the fly as needed into activity management.
Okay, great. A couple of people here are asking if they can get a link to the session. So one of the things that we're going to be doing for anybody on the line right now that's a current Jonas client, we're going to be sending this out via an email sometime in the next few days. For anybody who's not, you'll be able to access our YouTube channel. You can hop on YouTube and just search Jonas Club Management. We've got a full channel there, and this video or another version of the CRM walkthrough is going to be available there. Let me just take a look at a couple of other questions here, guys, while we have some time.
I've got a question here, Trevor, that was submitted through the chat, unfortunately. The question is, do you need to have your website with Jonas to use the CRM? The answer to that is no. The CRM module lives in our activity management suite, which does not require you to use Clubhouse Online, our website solution. Two are independent. From an online form submission, that would have to come from Clubhouse Online, but otherwise you could use the CRM without Clubhouse Online. You could use any website for that matter.
Here's a great functionality question from Kim. She says, our inquiries tend to come in over the phone and then we email back to them. Can we create a contact in the CRM and then link that to Outlook so that we can communicate with that person?
You want to send the contact from CRM to Outlook? There's no way to do that now. That might be something we take a look at down the road. However, once you get an email in Outlook, so once the prospect is created in CRM or the member or the guest or whomever, as long as their email address is attached to that contact, when you're in Outlook, so similar to what I was showing earlier, when you're in Outlook, based on that email address, it's going to show you all of the records you have, member, prospect, or otherwise. It'll tell you who they are, so prospective golfer in that case. In Roger Smith's case, it tells you active member. So as long as the email exists in CRM, then the Outlook plugin on that machine will be able to match that email to a contact record and will show you the panel accordingly.
Okay. Another one from Lori here, kind of along the same lines of one we already answered, but I want to make sure we're very clear. She said, if we don't have the CRM component right now, how do we go about getting it integrated to our Jonas? Again, this is just another Jonas module, so it integrates seamlessly already, and it uses your existing membership data, and then you can start adding prospects and everything to that. So it automatically connects right into your Jonas system. Just looking at a couple of other questions here, guys. Bear with me.
I've got one, Trevor.
Sure.
Again, through the chat, Trish asked, just want to make sure any email gotten in Outlook can be added to the CRM, including wedding wire leads. I'm not sure about wedding wire leads. However, as long as in the sender's email address, that email address matches a prospect within or a member within CRM, then you'll be able to move those over. If, however, the sender's email and the recipient's email don't exist within CRM, there'll be no way to transfer that over. It's all based off of email address recognition.
Okay, got another great question here from Alicia. She asks, are biz forms integrated to the Jonas software similar to the online forms that we showcased here? Yeah, that's actually just a matter of our own terminology, Alicia. Biz forms are the same thing as web forms. Internally and within Clubhouse Online, we call them biz forms. But biz forms, web forms, as long as they're coming from Clubhouse Online system itself.
One point of clarification. It's a specific form we've created. It's a CRM form. So your existing biz forms won't work. The CRM form has a limited set of fields, some of which are mandatory, and those fields that we put in there by default will map to CRM fields. You can add fields and ask more questions. However, those the pieces of information you receive in return to those questions will be added as a note in a comma delimited list or a semicolon delimited list of what your question is and what the answer was. So we'll capture that in a note. We just don't have the fields in CRM to map it to directly. So we capture that information separately as a note, but we give you the prospect record with all of the default fields in the CRM form.
Here's a good kind of a general question here. In order for this module to be most effective, do all staff members need to know how it works? And how many people are ideally needed to administer it? That's kind of a good general use, and that's definitely going to vary from club to club. It depends really on how many people you have working sales opportunities through the sales funnel. You might have your banquet and events manager, you might have a membership director or communications director, maybe your general manager also wants to be involved in these things. For most clubs, it's not going to be an all hands on deck, all staff necessary application to use, but there's probably a few key individuals at every club that are definitely going to be able to make good use of this. I'm just looking at a couple of messages here from Kim. We already we answered a question that she had posed, but she said it wasn't quite clear in her response about linking the CRM with Outlook. So Rob, can you just go through that again? So my understanding of it is, as long as I'm communicating with a member, so let's say I create a prospect in my CRM that, they call in and they give me their information. I create it within my CRM. Then if I was to email them from my Outlook with the Outlook widget running, I could automatically attach that email back into my CRM, and the two essentially would be integrated from there on out, correct?
Correct. I mean, once you have that, so important things to keep in mind, you have to be running the Outlook plugin on the same machine where you have Jam CRM installed. As long as those two are running at the same time, as long as the email address exists in CRM, when you're in Outlook and you're sending an email to someone or you're receiving an email from that person, if that email address exists in CRM, then the linkage will be there for you to attach it to a particular member. Also have the option to do a lookup within the plugin. So I can look up another member, let's say myself, and I can say, okay, I want Robert Lamanna, and now I can just attach it to him. So if for some reason it comes in on the wrong, it's not attached to anybody, and you don't see any suggestions in there, you can always call up a member number or search by member name within the search here to return potential results and attach it to the appropriate person. So it's not like you're completely out to dry if the emails don't match up. Like say I use my personal email and you don't have that on file, you'll still have the ability to do that by way of the lookup as opposed to simply not being able to do it.
Okay, that's great. And Kim, if we're not clear or we're not getting to the heart of your question there, by all means, follow up with us after the session and we'll be happy on one-on-one just to answer your questions. The same goes for who's on the line. Please feel free to follow up with us directly. We're always happy to engage. I'm going to throw out one last question here. I just went over. One person was mentioning that they'd like to get more information. Here we go. It's from Kristen. She'd love to get more training/information on Clubhouse Online email marketing. So, Kristen, if you currently have Clubhouse Online email marketing, you can access our support website, the support portal, and that's got a ton of great training videos, how-to articles, and it can walk you through a lot of the different setups of some of these applications and things like that here today, as well as other general triggered emails and general email marketing best practices. If you're not a current Clubhouse Online email marketing user, by all means, give us a shout, either Rob or Luke, or you can contact your local Jonas sales representative, and they'll be able to take you through the process, show you the product, and get you all the information that you need.
I had one more question, Trevor, that I wanted to get to. It was somebody asked, Gretchen Fernandez asked, I'm already using ACT. Is there a way to move my existing contacts history over to Jonas CRM? We will have an upload in the coming weeks. I would say in February we'll have an upload into CRM. However, I don't think it's going to capture history. It's really just going to give you the ability to put your contacts in there. So a quick way to get your contacts in, but it will not capture any of the history since that is a much more complicated mapping operation that would have to take place.
Okay. Okay, two last real quick ones. Kim just followed up to clarify, so she's asking, so can you set up a contact in the CRM without an email inquiry? So can you set it up automatically? Yes, absolutely. You can just manually create a CRM contact and then begin the communication process from there. So it doesn't automatically happen from somewhere else. You can just manually create it. Last question here I had from Sandy was, does the contact form have to be generated by a Jonas website? So Sandy, in order for it to automatically integrate into, yes, it does have to come from the Jonas website, Clubhouse Online. If you're not currently using Clubhouse Online, you could create a standard, and then you just have to manually enter that information that automatically comes to you.
Correct. You wouldn't get the automatic prospect creation. You wouldn't get the task being automatically assigned to a particular user, but you would be able to key that information in as a net new prospect like I just did on screen.
Okay, guys, I think we're pretty much at a racetrack here. So thank you, everybody, for the great questions, and thanks to everyone for attending today.